Well, here we are again, another chapter. For the first few days after the boys had gone on their journey, Sarai waited patiently and faithfully. Finally, as the hours turned into days and the days into weeks, she began to lose faith in ever seeing them again. It seemed to her now, as she sat on the hill, that all she had ever done was to go up and down the hill and watch and wait for them returning. Scarcely eating or sleeping, she had become a mere shadow of her former self. She no longer thought of the good things in her past, but remembered only the hardships of the present and her great loss. Despair settled down upon her like a heavy blanket, smothering and the very life out of her. Lehi tried to comfort her, but without success, for in her heart she blamed him for their present condition. Night after night he would wake up to find her gone and follow her to the top of the hill. Most of the time she didn't know what she was looking for. She was just waiting and looking in the distance. If only he could comfort her with his own faith, for he knew that God would bring the boys back to them safely. Never once had he doubted. Soon after Sarai left the tent, Lehi awakened, and finding her gone, he quickly got up and dressed. He couldn't leave her out there all alone. It wasn't safe. Anything could happen. This was the desert, cruel and savage. He knew there was wild beasts, for only yesterday he saw a huge animal stealing away in the brush. Perhaps even now she was in danger. The very thought of it sent him racing out of the tent and up the hill. The thought of harm coming to her made him fully aware of how great his love was for her. At the top of the hill he discovered her in her usual place. Her small dark form was huddled together on the ground. The sight of her told him how deep was suffering they were. Sarai gave no sign of having seen Lehi come up the hill. She was so completely lost in her own grief that she didn't seem to see him or anything. He fully intended to stay at a distance and watch and pray for her. But at the moment he heard a low moan and sob. He hurried at once to her side and knelt down, putting his arms around her. "Please don't cry," he said. After a while she stopped sobbing and gently freed herself from the embrace. For a long time she sat staring out into the wilderness. "Our sons are dead. We will never see them again," she said. "Don't say that. I'm certain that they are alive and well. Any hour now they will return to us and be happy once again." "Our sons are dead," she repeated, "and you are to blame. If you hadn't had those visions and brought us out from Jerusalem, we wouldn't be here." He reached out and took her small hand in his and said sympathetically, "I know how you have missed your sons, but believe me, they are alive and well, and even now they are on their way back to us. Won't you believe that and have faith for just a little longer?" "I'll try," she said deeply, and rested her head on his shoulder. "As for my visions, I would like you to know how proud and grateful I am to God for sending them to me. If I have not been in Jerusalem and not seen it destroyed, we might have stayed there. But now, when our sons return to us, and they will return soon, God will lead us to the promised land." His words brought some comfort to Sarai's heart, that she fell into a deep, untroubled sleep. When the first signs of dawn began lighting the eastern sky, Lehi arose, lifted Sarai gently into his arms, and carried her to the tent. She slept on through the long day. Watching her as she lay so still and white, Lehi became alarmed, thinking that perhaps she had died in her sleep. But when he leaned over to her, he saw that she was still breathing. When late afternoon came and she still slept. He became worried and wondered whether it would be good for her to sleep so long, especially without eating. He was just debating whether or not to wake her when he heard a voice, and going out of the tent he saw his 4 sons running towards him and shouting their greetings. Lehi hurried to them. My sons, I thank God for your safe return." "Yes, we have returned safely and have brought you the brass plates." "But where is Mother?" "She's inside, asleep." "Asleep? But Mother never sleeps in the daytime. Is she sick?" "No, she's only tired. She's been so worried about you, and she'll be glad to see you all back." Sariah lay a few minutes, and then her eyes went wide in surprise. She said, still half dazed by sleep, "My sons, I must be dreaming. No, Mother, we're home safe and sound." "Let me look at you," said Sariah, opening her eyes and arms and embracing them. "Look what I have brought you," said Laban, slipping his hand into the tunic and taking out an ornament for her hair. "See, it is an ornament you always like to wear these in your hair." "Indeed it is. Thank you, my sons. You are good boys to remember things." "I have brought you your golden sandals," said Lemuel. "My golden sandals? Oh, thank you, Lemuel. I have missed them so much." Sam came forward carefully, unwrapping his gift. "Thank you, Sam. Nothing could possibly please me more. Now I can work on during my spare time with the silk and golden thread that you've brought." Sariah looked deep into the eyes of her youngest son and smiled with gratitude. No words were needed, for these two understood each other thoroughly. It was like Nephi to choose a gift that would include the future. That's a wonderful gift. "Yes, it's a wonderful gift," said Sariah, "but don't you think it's about time you told us about your journey to Jerusalem and how you came to get the plates?" After that, they told the story. Lehi asked what had come of Laban's servant Zoram, and they told him that he had stopped at the river Laban to bathe. Just then Sariah lifted her eyes, brimming with tears, and said, "Now I know for sure God commanded my husband to flee into the wilderness. I know that he saved my sons and brought them safely to me. He delivered them out of the hands of Laban and gave them power to fulfill his commandments and get the plates." Lehi and Sariah's hearts were so filled with joy that they praised God and offered up a sacrifice and burnt offerings.